we're going to show you how to remove and install the center console, how to add in USB ports, and share tips on the difficult parts. We're going to remove this panel on the passenger on the right side using a T27. It's a hidden screw, so you just look around and feel around in the hole, and it should click in. Once it comes loose, we just remove this, and we detach this plug by squeezing on the two plastic connectors. It pulls right out. Now we do the same thing on the left side. We just feel around for this little hole here. Just wiggle it a little. This little bracket goes on here, so you might just have to use two hands, hold it in place, and then reinstall it. So we'll just keep these two as a set. Next, we're going to remove these leather-clad side panels, and they are attached using two regular T20 Torx heads. Both Torx. There are 3 clips, 1, 2, and 3, and you want to be uniformly applying pressure from the middle out towards the front. The objective is to disengage 1, 2, 3 clips without breaking them, hopefully in place. So I'm pulling. And if you haven't taken these panels out in a while, the clips might be a little finicky. There we go. Successfully broken none of them. Do the driver's side. And stay organized to make life easy. We pull a little at the bottom first to disengage the bottom clips because all 3 didn't come out at once. And clip integrity check. All 3 clips are good. And this is what your Boxster should look like at this point. Pop the front trunk and disconnect the battery by removing the negative terminal. I like to disconnect both terminals, first the negative, then the positive, and put them both in cotton gloves so they are insulated for safety. Remove the shift boot and shift knob. Do this by prying up from the front side of the car. This can be a bit tricky. It's better to continue to try and pry from the front of the car, because there are clips at the back that break. Ask me how I know that. There's going to be a black plastic piece hidden under the shift boot, attaching the boot to the knob. Pull the shift boot up a bit over the knob. Turn the hidden plastic piece 90 degrees clockwise. This will allow the entire thing to release and slide out from on the shift lever. Next can be a challenging part that looks easy for me because I already got it loose last time. Pull the whole thing off and you should have the shift boot and knob in one hand. If your shift knob is stuck on the lever, that's common. See my other detailed video on tips on removing the shift boot and knob. There, we share different ways to get it off if it's stuck. Next, there's the center console extension trim piece that's shown in black over the silver trim. There are 6 clips. Pry up, not side to side, to remove the 6 clips. Start from the clips closest to you and work back for ease of removal. These are stubborn clips, and they're easy to get frustrated with and tempting to move side to side in an attempt to remove them. But you can snap them if you do so if you don't have success. If you don't have success, you can try using a larger plastic pry tool. Once unclipped, the trim piece should be easily removable by pulling it up and out. It might flex a little side to side over the main head unit area. Large clip, small clip, large clip. Next, we're going to remove the silver console trim. This is held in place by 4 Torx screws. Once we make quick work of those 4, the trim is held in place by more clips that we pry up. It comes up and out. The climate control is super easy. There are tabs on the left and right sides of the climate control unit. If you press on those, the climate control slides out, and you can detach the connectors at the back by pressing down on their tabs and pulling. They only go back in one way, so you don't even need to worry about what order the connectors go in. To remove the spoiler and stability module control piece, Press in on the tabs on the sides and disconnect the connectors. They also only go back in one way. With the storage bin screws in attackable position and the upper components out of the way, remove the Torx screws left and right of the storage bin. We removed the upper components so we didn't have to press down on the storage compartment tab and possibly bend the storage compartment. Pull the storage bin out.
Shaping up nicely.
Remove the Torx screw that was under the storage bin towards the front of the car. Remove the Torx screw on the front left of the center console. Remove the symmetrical screw on the front right side. Open the center compartment and remove the rubber mat. That will expose 4 Torx screws that need to be removed. These are T20. If you have the iPod aux kit, the 4th Torx screw might be hiding underneath the black panel. You do not need to disconnect the iPod aux kit yet. We can do that later when the center console is off. For now, we just need to get the Torx screws out. A flathead screwdriver makes quick work of the connector holding in the iPod aux kit if you have it. Under the banana, which we pop out now with a finger, remove the Torx screw. This was the last Torx screw holding the center console in. The last step before removing the center console is disconnecting the console wiring. This is why we had to disconnect the battery earlier, because once we disconnect this connector and try and start the car, we'll get an airbag warning. No big deal if you forget. You can reset the airbag light on your own using the iCarSoft scanner tool, linked in the description. The center console wiring is inserted into the black plastic bracket at an angle. The tab at the bottom of the connector is inserted at about 45 degrees. The connector for the wires is stubborn. I had luck by removing it from the tab by rotating it and wedging a fingernail and separating the 2 connectors while pushing down on the left side tab. Then wiggling on the right side while pressing down on the right side tab and rinsing and repeating, and wiggling it out. If you have difficulty, keep up at this step. Play around with getting fingernails in. Eventually, it comes disconnected. Leave a comment below if you need more help. The center console will now be removable. 2 problem areas with removal are the handbrake and the front legs of the center console. While watching the front legs of the console, lift up from the back, making sure it clears the handbrake to avoid scratches. This shouldn't be too hard, but you might have difficulty on it catching somewhere where you're not looking. Just be sure to look around, be careful not to scratch the handbrake, don't bend the legs too much, and it should come right out. Installing USB. For installing USB, a popular option is installing the ports into the passenger footwell, shown here. I went a bit against the grain and sacrificed the center console compartment's 12-volt plug for ease of use and because my 12-volt plug was already sacrificed. I had the aux kit built into my Boxster before the new head unit, and the aux kit covers this 12-volt plug. So I was already living with 2 12-volt plugs, one near the emergency brake and the other in the passenger footwell instead of 3. Installing the USB ports was easy thanks to this extension kit, which puts USB in any 12-volt hole. The old socket comes out with the help of this mallet, and the extension kit has a plastic nut that holds it in place. It's not a perfect fit because the socket is rounded, but you can't really tell unless you examine it very closely, and I accepted that trade-off for utility, since the car will look stock when the compartment is closed anyway. Reinstalling the center console is easy. While I had the center console out, I also upgraded my shifter cables to numeric cables, and that guide is in the works and will be on the channel as well soon, so subscribe so you don't miss it. Back on the topic of reinstalling the center console, first we navigate it into position by orienting the legs of the center console down, and by orienting the emergency handbrake through the handbrake opening on the console. The two main things to remember at this step are the center console is navigated over the emergency brake, and it loves to get caught on the seats on the sides. If your center console isn't going back in, it's because it's caught on the seats most likely. If you push the seats outwards, the center console should slide back in. You'll notice now we have additional USB wires in addition to the existing center console connector. Reinstalling the connector is a breeze compared to removing it. Click the connector in, then rotate the tab into the hole on the metal bracket, and done. And your new USB connectors are there. Time for the reinstallation. Enjoy this reversed footage of me using power tools to reinstall everything and using screwdrivers to reinsert stuff. I don't know why I lost some of the footage, but I had to reverse some of these clips. I definitely do not recommend using power tools to reinstall all of these Torx. I recommend tightening them by hand, but the written instructions as they appear are accurate. All of the connectors go back in one way as mentioned earlier, specifically for the button controls for the spoiler, as well as the Porsche stability management control, as well as the climate control unit. Both of these units basically slide right in. All the connectors click in one way and into place, and then we simply reinstall the silver console trim. I can be seen using a prier at some points, but all you need to do for the clips is basically push them in without having to pry, and they should click right in. After the silver console trim is the black trim. Here we are guilty of using the prier with the reversed footage. You don't need to, you just press it in. Careful not to flex left and right. With the shift boot, we install it at an angle and then turn it counterclockwise about 90 degrees to click the black plastic piece into place, and then we install the clips closest to us first and then the farthest clips. After that, it's as straightforward as reconnecting the battery, and we are done with the center console reinstallation.